Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about what I would argue are the four most important parts of your child's IEP. If you don't know me already, hi, my name is Ria. I'm an educational advocate who helps parents just like you get their children the support that they need in school. And I also created a course that walks you step by step through this process. If you want to learn more about me or my course, Advocacy in Action, you can head to my profile. But for now, let's dive into IEPs. As a parent, you want to be as familiar as possible with your child's IEP. But how are you supposed to know what to focus on when all of these documents are huge and they can be incredibly overwhelming to try and read and make sense of? Well, the whole IEP, it's important in one way or another, but there are four parts that you really want to focus on to get your child the support that they need. And those areas are going to be the present levels of academic achievement and functional performance, or the PLAF, the goals, the services, and the accommodations. These four sections work together to support your child and their unique needs. And whenever we're having concerns, it's usually because one or more of these sections needs to be updated. The present levels portion of your child's IEP is where all of their data is housed. This is where we can find the results of evaluations, observations, classroom performance information, testing information. This whole area is what shows your child's need. The PLAF, or the present levels, is going to be one of the first sections on your child's IEP. Usually it is right under all of the background information, like name, date, school, things like that. This section, the present levels, the PLAF, it lays the foundation for everything else that follows in the IEP. And it also sets the baseline for your child's current performance. We have to know where we're starting in order to make meaningful progress. This is why it is so important that you start with solid data inside of the present levels. The other four sections require data from the present levels to justify and to implement. We utilize the data showing the students' needs to implement supports with accommodations. And we also use these different areas of need to determine what requires goals and progress monitoring, or maybe who we need to consult with and what professionals we might want to involve on the IEP team. The section that includes the services section, is how we're going to support your child in reaching those goals. And if you really want to bring this full circle, the data that we collect on those goals and services should then be added into the present levels to build on the skills that we worked on during the previous IEP. So we want to know the baseline where your child is during every IEP cycle, which is why we want to add that information back in whenever we're updating the IEP. I know that sounds like a lot, but it can actually be really manageable once you get the information organized in a way that's easy to read and to understand. This is an activity that we complete in Advocacy in Action, and I've actually created a mini course that walks you through this whole process of organizing your child's information and really going through understanding it and matching up all the areas and pieces. That mini course is called the IEP Snapshot. But essentially, just kind of like a quick version here, what you really want to do with this process is you just want to see how everything connects. And in this process, you're going to identify where you're missing pieces. So let's say you notice that your child's present levels indicate a need in reading comprehension, but you don't see a goal for that area. That's something you'll want to bring up to the IEP team. Now, they may have had a good reason for not focusing on that area of need right now. Maybe because they're focused on something else that's going to have a greater impact, or maybe something that's a higher priority. But that should all be documented within the IEP. It might be in the meeting minutes from the previous meeting, it might be in the present level, but it should be in there somewhere. Either way, this is something that you'll want to bring up to the team because it's something that they might have missed. And even if it isn't, it gives them the opportunity to tell you exactly why they made the decisions that they did and kind of walk you through those decisions and that process, because you are an active member of the team and you should be given the opportunity to participate in a meaningful way. So they need to explain these things and kind of walk you through anything that you have questions about. Or let's say that you want to request support for your child. Maybe you want to request something like frequent breaks or opportunities for movement. Well, in order to do that, you really want to think through what data you can use to justify the request. How can you prove your child's need and or the impact to their education? We're going to use information from the PLAF to do that. But remember, the school might not have included all of the data and information that they have for your child or that we really need inside of the PLAF. And that's where you kind of have to get involved in the gathering of the data, which might sound complicated, but it's not too bad. And then once, I'll explain it in just a second, but once you have all that data, then you want to take it and present it to the school with whatever you're requesting. So, like I said, data is often misunderstood. It can seem really, really complicated and kind of scary, but it's not. It could just be things like how many phone calls home you've gotten, what's the number of days where your child has had school avoidance, how many behavioral incidents or write-ups or class dojo points or whatever you can think of, whatever information that you need to prove your case. The best way personally that I've found to gather this information is really to begin with the end in mind. So you want to start with thinking about what it is that you want to request and then thinking backwards of what the team might require to show that need. And just kind of ask yourself why. Okay, I want frequent breaks, right? Well, why do I want that? Because my child is really struggling to focus or something like that, whatever the reason is. Okay, well, why is that? You might not have the why behind that, but what can we do to show that, right? We can show that we've had phone calls home. Why is it that why is this a concern, right? Like, how is this impacting their education? So essentially, you really just want to think back why and then kind of the how, right? How would this help them? How would it negatively impact them if they didn't have access to this accommodation, right? So, thinking through all of those types of questions can really help to strengthen your case when you go to present this information to the school. If you're working through your child's IEP and you're finding it overwhelming, try starting with these 4 sections. Just to recap, that's the present levels or the present levels of academic achievement and functional performance, the PLAF, the goals, the services, and the accommodations. Try starting with those 4 sections. And if you want even more support with this, be sure to check out the IEP audit. I've got all of this laid out in easy printable templates so you don't have to try and like recreate the wheel or anything like that. But then I also have advocacy in action. So there's tons of different options for you. I've got free resources, I've got consultations, but be sure to check those out because we can walk you through this stuff. In advocacy in action, we hold your hand as we go through this process. And you've kind of always got an advocate in your back pocket with the community that we have over there. So take a look at some of those resources. Reach out if you have any questions. Leave some comments. Ask any questions that you have. And I will see you back in the next episode, I guess we can call it. I'll see you back in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.